advanced technology. Nibiru and the astronaut gods. We come from far, far away, but we did not come out of the jungle. We were brought up, washed, dressed, caped from our childhood by benevolent beings, superiorly developed, who mastered the most advanced technology, as we do not have one yet, but that's coming. Where did we come from? Caves or heaven? Did we descend from apes or from giants? Why would UFOs come from elsewhere? Would the Atlantean civilization have finally passed some secrets on to us? Are we on the verge of finding the technology of these gods, these ancient gods? Quite agreeing with each other, several hundreds of ancient traditions say that we have been created. If our species is as old as we think today, the creation of man occurred such a long time ago that we may doubt the memory of it could have been transmitted. So all these ancient traditions and legends must speak about a more recent event. In this case, Adam was not the first human, but only the first of our kind. His creation was just a recreation. The right word is procreation, scientific procreation. Are we perhaps GMO, genetically modified organisms? The mythological stories leave no doubt on this subject. The modern man has been shaped by an advanced civilization. The Genesis, Book of Enoch, and Epic of Gilgamesh say that our creators were like us and that they came from heaven. As Picard and Loeb told us, the Olympian gods fly all sorts of planes, rockets, or UFOs. They carry laser weapons, balls of fire, death rays. They even use the nuke bomb. The U.S. cited person and prophet Edgar Casey told us the same thing, not about the Olympians, but about Atlantis. Evidence that they are the same. For if the first generation of gods, the Titans, were peaceful and civilized, the second generation, the Olympians, was much less peaceful. The Golden Age has given way to the Silver Age, twice as long, half as pure, half as bright. And okay, our creators had flying machines, so what? The Book of Enoch called them watchers or guardians because they were endlessly observing the stars in their crystal tubes to derive predictions. In the Mahabharata, we learned that the Rama people owned aircrafts and spacecrafts. At that time, apparently men knew how to fly in the sky and space. Duly noted. Invisible technology. Our makers were hyper-talented superhumans, perhaps overdeveloped to such a degree that the wild Adams could not believe. Those extra special people seemed like giants for the dwarfs the Adams were. Such a gap between populations is not a big surprise anyway. And still nowadays, huge cultural differences exist between the different human populations. And before that TV got all over the world, a Papuan could have taken an astronaut for a god. In the distant past of our species, some strains could have been able to achieve a high degree of development. Enough technology to go to the stars and come back? Why not? Enough to make genetics manipulations, and why not? To make a real race of giants? Yes, the fossils exist. They are even so numerous that scientists have more and more trouble to make them out to be singularities. With the extraordinary prospects of mankind dating from dinosaurs, hundreds, thousands of civilizations had enough time to develop and to destroy themselves as well. The problem is the absence of technological traces. Just a very few remains, not enough to explain what really happened. Still, open your eyes. Some very ancient architectures evoke perfectly the futuristic galactic civilizations. Above, the monument of unknown origins is in Japan, the island of Yonaguni, near which divers discovered an underwater structure that evokes the civilization of the megaliths and Mu. Why can't we trace the footprints of the gods down there? Why does their track suddenly evaporate? Maybe they're just left for space from which they came. Those we call they were the ancient gods of the civilizing astronauts, was paradise on board their gigantic mothership? We could continue for a long time to enumerate the lost Atlantean sciences. Ignatius Donnelly thought the civilization had been lasting more than 150,000 years, 30 times longer than ours, enough time to gather a prodigious knowledge. Considering the degree of scientific and technological development that we have reached in only 3,000 years, we can easily imagine the amount of knowledge accumulated by a 100 or 200,000 year civilization. I indulge in thinking that the terraformers first came to our blue planet 3 billion years ago, and the terraformers who created us belong to the same species, a civilization that has several billion years of existence, and is capable of pursuing terraforming enterprises for the same duration, deserves more than admiration. It exceeds us infinitely, enough to master sciences that we still ignore as gravitology, fulgurology, ultralumenic speed, teleportation, and the infraacoustic field, with the fabulous use of infrasonic scales. For those who have eyes to see, and evidence of the existence of this civilization is everywhere, you can witness the crystal figurine belonging to the Hittite culture of 3,200 to 3,700 years BC. It recognizes an astronaut almost identical to the Olmec and Mayan astronauts. But this picture is from Wikipedia in England, that the legend says follows figurine of a child, and the reader will judge. Is this a child or is this an astronaut? You tell me. Bad faith throws away the scientific evidence that does not fit the allowed scheme of the evolution of our species, but bad faith destroys scientific treasures and lost knowledge. Thus, the Atlanteans used certain properties of metals that our civilization has disregarded. Thus, the Atlanteans used some properties of metals that we disregarded to propel their ships. They had sonic engines driven by polymetallic repulsion. How does this kind of engine work? It works on the principle of natural attractions and repulsions of certain metals. For those who doubt the high technology of Atlantis and the gods before, you have to consider the following object: the Sabu disk. The disk of Sabu was discovered during archaeological excavations conducted in 1936 by Egyptologist Walter Bryan Emery, a specialist in mastaba of Saqqara, Egypt. This mysterious utensil was in the grave 3111 in the heart of the mastaba of Sabu, dating back 6,700 to 7,000 years BC. Sabu was the scribe of Horus Adjib, pharaoh of the first dynasty. It seems in the picture, circular artifact is pierced by a shaft to which converge three profiles lobes. The object has a diameter of 61 centimeters. Its height is 10 centimeters. It was restored to be exposed under its present appearance in the Cairo Museum. The official version of Egyptologists is this: it is unique, it's quite simple, it's simply a sensor. Is that what you want to call it, a sensor? We're supposed to believe that. Futuristic silhouette and a little technological design for its time make a cult out of the ordinary, but does not appeal to Egyptologists. I saw immediately a small clay model for a large carrier ship propeller, which would then be produced by casting. A researcher, Daniel Stetnekov, is presently presenting his model of Sabu disk he did at half the scale to make experiments with trying to find out the use and function of this strange piece of technology. In any case, this piece is an anachronistic daring. It reinforces the vision of a very ancient past bathed in high technology. Where are the remains of the Atlantean ships? Asks the skeptics. What about the computer of Antikythera? That's in the Archaeological Museum in Athens, by the way. This is what the others say. What about the Hittite and Olmec astronaut figurines? And what about this propeller drive? According to the archaeologists, who certainly do not miss any joke, the wheel, which concept is less sophisticated than the disc, will not emerge before 15 centuries. Square-headed teachers have to stop the BS now. Why did not a developed civilization leave more traces? Because it left to where it came from, that is, to go back to the stars. Anyway, this is what is written on this article by Xavier Seguin on Eden Saga, titled Ancient Technology. It's Creative Commons, and I'll leave a link below for you. Please tell me what you think. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.